Well, hey folks, Sean here with my good buddy Wayne, Barstools and Bandtalk, Rimshots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. Before we start, I had a post. I'd like to thank Miss Lisa Davis for bringing this tonight. I had one of these that was stolen. There's a bit of a story because Wayne's learned a new to him hat. He had a hat that went missing, and I had we call it the miniature Sean that went missing, so they replaced it. So Lisa, thanks a lot for that, and everybody that took part in that.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So we're back with Wayne. You get your new to you hat on.
Yes, I do, all the way from down under.
Down under. So tell everybody who got that for you.
A lady by the name of Michelle McPherson, her mom is a really dear friend of ours. They live down, and so is she. They live down the Eastern Shore, and I've had a couple of people that have offered to give me hats, and I've turned them down, and buddy, you don't have any idea how many people offered to send me money.
I wouldn't be surprised. Here's why I wouldn't be surprised. Because when we did the thing with Ed, the two events that we did for old Joshua there, it was instantaneous. There was one that Christmas where a friend of ours, C.C. Young, had a little fellow who basically found out that he was terminal, and people on Barstools just, lined up and gave him stuff. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, good people do good things, right?
Well, I was just completely blown away. Like, there was people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I haven't really had a whole lot of opportunity to be in the same place as them, and they're asking me, what size hat, how much money can we give you, can we please send you some money, so that you can buy a new one. And it was like, I love the hat because my wife bought it for me, and it just fit and it suited me, and I was so upset with myself for being so stupid. First of all, to get in somebody else's car, but second of all, to leave my friggin' hat in it. But at the end of the day, it was so minor of a thing compared to everything else that was going on in my life at the time. And I figured, really and truly, if this is the worst that's going to happen, I'll take it. I want to say, if you're out there and you've got that hat, wear it proud. If you're not going to give it back, wear it proud. Let the hat enjoy life, because if it had stayed with me, it'd be partying all summer long, baby. I'll tell you right now.
Well, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. So I want to ask you, because we kind of touched on this when I was on Thursday. The ideas for your guests, where do they come from, and what the process is you go through to try to line them up? Because you and I spent a little bit of time with this on Thursday.
I really like to reach out to people that are doing what they can do to make themselves better and to push themselves along in their craft. I hear a lot of people tell me that they can't get gigs, there's no work out there, that it's only certain people that are working, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to tell you right now, my experience has been, since I've been in this business and around it, and believe me, I'm 63, I've been around it since I was around 9 or 10. Luckily, growing up in the city with some of the amazing music that was around. But the people that are working are the people that are working to work.
Yeah.
Okay? They wear every hat they need to wear. They're producer, they're ad executive, they're roadie, they're performer, they're all of it. Accountant, whatever it takes, they're doing it all. And they've learned that no means I have to go to the next place, not say, oh, I'm done. So that's one of the ways that I gather people for my show. And then the other way I do it is I listen to the people when I'm out at music events and when I'm out around and people talking to me about musicians, and about this group or that group. And my biggest feed, unfortunately now, only whispers to me through the gods, and that was Ed. I couldn't tell you how many phone calls I got at 5 after 12 because he knew not to call me before noon. And he'd always, how you doing, buddy? Listen, have you heard so-and-so, or do you want to come this weekend with me to go see this or that person? And that's how I met a lot of people was through Ed.
Funny story about Ed as it pertains to Wayne here, because I sent Wayne a photo on Thursday, and I said, don't open it up, I'm going to tell the story, and I'll show you guys the photo later. But essentially, it's Ed sitting down and Wayne behind him, and they, both of them got these scowls on their face, like it was just like, they were all mean. What it was I took the picture before we played the first side hustle show with Michelle Ryder, with both of them. She's a blues singer, what are you doing? You're gonna, I said, give it a chance. And I remember Zach Lacey was at the board, and you could see Ed starting to bop. And so we on the break, and Ed always used to say, he called me boy, hey boy, get over here.
Yeah.
So it was before they said, hey boy, what the hell are you doing? Hey boy, okay, I believe you. So anyway, I sent Wayne that picture, and the two of them, I didn't get the one after, unfortunately, because that would have been a little more jubilant. But to speak to that, I mean, we talked about Ed on Thursday quite a bit.
You know yourself that I've known Michelle for a long time.
Yeah.
And not just in the music business, I've been places where she wasn't part of the bill, but she was part of the bill that, singing around a campfire and stuff like that. I've heard her sing a lot of things. You come and tell me that you're going to get this girl to sing rock, and I'm like, I'm going to skin you.
That's smarter than I look, my friend.
I couldn't get my head. I guess it was being short-sighted is what the problem was. They say change is hard. And I just was having a really hard time in my mind getting my head around it until the end of the first song. And then it was like, give that man a Nobel Prize or something. Because like, holy smokes. What a crystal ball to see inside there where people as close as we were to her never ever saw it.
So I'm a big believer, it doesn't matter what you do, talent will bubble up, right? So, I mean, we went to Brian's show there last Saturday night. You had a bunch of people that were on stage. A couple of them I'd never heard before, right? You don't get gigs around town if you suck. I mean, I don't want to sound brutal, but myself and Peter Dalmont, that now plays with me, and Ian Fancy, and even our former host Dave, we were in a band, I kid you not, at a high school. We got fired at the Palace. The next week we got fired at the Moon. We went to Newfoundland and got fired. So we sucked. So I know what it's like to get fired. I know it's like being on the stage when it doesn't work out. That stuff doesn't fly. So that's the tail of the tape, right? You get asked, you'll do one gig, but if you suck, you don't do any more. If you get asked back, that's the sign that you're doing a good job. So I knew that was going to be a good thing. But there's other people out there that, I think sometimes they're just not given an opportunity to do it.
Well, I agree. There are people that get doors closed on them. I like to say, my wife must get sick and tired of me talking about it, but the music business isn't different than any other business. And there's clicks and stuff like that, and I call it the machine. Okay? And if you're on the machine, you could open up the phone book and do 3 or 4 lines out of it and submit that for the blues song of the year, and you'll win.
Yep.
And yet there's people out there that are legitimately swinging blues every chance they get and every weekend somewheres in someplace, and they never get a look at. And there's people that have been doing this for 15 and 20 years, and nobody even knows that they're there. And then there's other people that they just get pushed along. And like at the award shows, you just, for me, and I don't like to be like this, but it's true. As soon as you see the list of the nominations that come out, you know who's going to win. Or who's going to be in the top 3 or 4.
Yep. And that stuff to me, I mean, it can be frustrating. And I remember I was talking to somebody one time, and I was complaining. It seems like the same people are playing the same bars. I don't understand it. And my friend said to me, well, when you stopped asking, they didn't stop asking and they got in there. And so I was like, I'm many things, but one thing I'm not is a quitter. So, that's kind of what I try to do, and that's what people that I know are having success try to do. To your point about seeing the same people over and over and over again, I don't know if that's a byproduct of what we have here in our region. I don't know. All I know is that in the hockey world, they used to say talent will be found, and I firmly believe that talent will be found. And if it's not through the ways and means that we have here, it's through other ways and means.
Well, I mean, I think we see a lot of the same people here at different venues. This is because they are the ones that are out hustling. They are the ones that are beating on the doors. They're the ones that are knocking. But my thing is like when you get up into the people that have been around for, but I'm not saying they haven't earned their dues, that they haven't paid their dues and that they haven't earned their keep. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying that there are, once you get into a certain area in this business, yes, you still have to work, and yes, you still have to do a lot of stuff, but the machine kind of pushes you along. And that's not a bad thing. Right? It's not a bad thing at all, because, that means that you've done due diligence to get there. But I just wish that some of the people that are coming up in the business would get some recognition young and early on for the hard work and the talent that they're putting out there.
Yeah, and the other thing too is if you don't like the machine, build your own machine, and that's kind of what some other people are doing.
And that's basically what's happening in a lot of the scene around right now, is that, there is almost two machines going.
There is, and you know what? It's fine. And so I had another conversation. I used to work at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce from 2004 to 2008. And my old boss, I was talking to him, and he said, you know why the Chamber had so much success? And I'm like, no. They didn't take any government funding. So if they wanted to do a Sunday shopping thing, the Premier couldn't come and say, we're going to pull this, pull that. So basically they were funded by other ways and means. And unfortunately, a lot of what we try to do does get some of that funding where I'm not going to say political, but it can get political. And so you have to realize that takes place. You got to be good with it and still continue to maneuver. I said it. I know it.
It's true. It is true, and you are right. You have to accept the fact that it's there, and you have to be bigger than it and just keep moving on. If you want something, the only way you're going to get it, if it's over there, you got to go get it. If you're waiting at home for it to come to you, those days are long since gone. That's not happening.
Let's take an audience member as an example. How does a friggin' short, little, ugly fella from Vice Bay play the Whiskey A Go-Go? Right? Brian Doucette played the world-famous Whiskey A Go-Go in L.A. What did that happen? A couple phone calls? Did they tell you yes right away? It was probably a little bit of following up.
A little bit of following up, yeah.
Right?
Maybe 3 or 4 emails or something like that.
So there you go. So I only walked in front of the Whiskey A Go-Go. Brian got to play on the stage, so there you go. That's a true story. So.
But, and there's proof in the pudding right there that says, if you don't ask the question, the answer's always no.
Yeah. Wasn't very hard to do, actually. A couple emails and a phone call and a contract, and off I went.
But you made the call.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the difference between, I think, without getting too, Phil Jackson's Eddie, right? You want to see a good documentary, Shaq, and when he beats Phil Jackson and Phil Jackson starts coaching him, like, holy smokes, to spend 10 minutes with that guy would be incredible. But would you guys be into, if we did one more segment, you guys could ask Wayne some questions? Would you be into that? Because I have a couple more I'd like to ask, but I don't want to steal the floor. So we're going to get the lovely Melissa to give us a hand here, and we'll be back
Turn
after
this
this.
off. Click.